if we do not get out of our comfortable zone to go where they are, if we do not learn to speak in a language they can understand, they will never be even able to respond to the gospel.
You're watching a session from Steiger's Online Intensive Training. This event was recorded with live translation, so you'll notice some cuts throughout the video to make it easier for you to view it. The speaker for this video is Filipe Machado, who is the Steiger North America Regional Director. We hope that this is a useful tool for you. Enjoy the conversation.
One day I got a phone call, and the person that called me is a crazy guy. His name is Luke Greenwood. And he asked me if I wanted to join him in a new band. And he told me that the idea was to put together a crazy concert and go to secular clubs and festivals and share a clear message of the gospel. So he said, we're going to use electronic, rock, industrial music. We're going to have videos and special effects. And then we're going to share we're going to show the person of Jesus, his life and death and resurrection. And we're going to give a bold proclamation of the gospel from the stage. And then, to be honest, guys, at that time, even though I was a believer, I was very influenced by my non-believer friends and by the culture in general. My faith was not very strong, but the idea of the band, it was cool. And I said, yes, I want to be part of this. So when we finally went to the first concerts, and I saw how people were responding to the gospel inside of clubs, how God was moving powerfully, that, something happened with me, something happened in my heart. My faith became alive. So this is the type of places we were going and the clubs we were playing.
Allegorica is a band that exposes the lies and gives an answer for people who've given up hope or maybe are wondering if there is any hope. So that's why if you have any brain at all, you need to come and see this band. Yes!
O que me atraiu bastante foi essa maneira diferente de falar de Jesus, né? Uma forma totalmente inusitada. Nunca você vai esperar que no final tá falando de Jesus, né?
Stop! Gonna hate your life!
I don't know, I've suddenly come from this club with my friends. I just wanted to party and dancing. After the end of the show, you said, come here, and I don't know why, but I think this Jesus say to me that I should go.
Yeah, I don't ever seen this before, so it was really it was blown my mind, and it's after when I talking with a vocalist of this group, I understand many things that I don't know before. Everything what I think about God, it was church things. So now I know another vision of the God. It was really nice, and my life may be going to be better.
So as you saw, we played in different places in São Paulo, and Luke had long dreadlocks, that's true. And we played in places outside of Brazil as well. And everywhere we have been, we saw God's power in action. And then when I saw how people were hungry and open to the gospel, and how big and relevant was the need in the scene, I realized two important things that I want to bring to our conversation. One is that there is a false idea that we as Christians shouldn't go to secular places or shouldn't associate ourselves with non-believers. And sometimes what strengthens this false idea is actually a very common lie of our culture that says that in order to love someone, you must affirm their lifestyle. But that's just not true. So Jesus himself, he spent time with sinners. He ate with them. He was their friend. And he broke stereotypes like political, social, even religious. And he did that in order to connect with people, in order to love them. And he proves that in order to be friends with an unbeliever, we don't have to affirm their lifestyle. And we can see that in the example of when Jesus met the Samaritan woman at the well. He loved her, he offered her living water, and at the same time, he confronted her lifestyle. And holiness, strive for holiness, is one of our 6 Steiger values. And it does not mean to separate ourselves physically from the world. It means to separate our hearts from sin. And we know we can only do that by faith in Jesus and by his power. But that's exactly how he prepares us for God's good work. So in 2 Timothy 2, verses 20 and 21st. In a large house, there are articles not only of gold and silver, but also of wood and clay. Some are for special purposes and some for common use. Those who cleanse themselves from the latter will be instruments for special purposes, made holy, useful to the master, and prepared to do any good work. So what a privilege to become instruments for special purposes in God's hands, right? And that's why we strive for holiness. So when we go to the scene, when we go even to crazy clubs, we're going to share the gospel and people will encounter God. But also, as you saw in the videos that I shared, when we went to those clubs, we played a music style that was common, that was normal for people that were going to those clubs. It was a little crazy. It was what they were used to. It was the language they were used to. So we were being relevant to the context we were in. And relevance is also one of the 6 Steiger values. Well, but it does not mean just to look like, externally, to look like the scene. It's not about putting on a costume and using the right words to reach a particular group of people. We could still use the right clothes and use the right words and be completely detached from the real culture. In 1 Corinthians 9:22, Paul talks about becoming all things to all men. He was talking about a profound sacrificial act. He was willing to let go all his rights in order to connect with people, to share Jesus with them. And the truth is that people are hungry and they are open. If we do not get out of our comfortable zone to go where they are, if we do not learn to speak in a language they can understand, which takes effort, they will never be even able to respond to the gospel. And one of the things that I hear a lot, time after time, when we are sharing the gospel with non-believers, they say, I've never heard this message this way. That's totally new to me. And I want to know more. Tell me more. So in order to be relevant, we need to put effort in it. It is sacrificial. And then in another side, relevance is not about popularity. It's about clarity. So it does not mean to water down our message so it's easily accepted. It's about finding ways to communicate in a language people can understand. It's about clarity. Now, Jesus was relevant, and we want to be just like him. He knew people in an intimate way. And because of that, he was able to communicate in their language in a way that resonates with them. And it was powerful. He used farming illustrations and examples to communicate with farmers. And he used law and scriptures to communicate with religious people. And that's what it means to know the scene. So here's one thing that I've learned about knowing the scene throughout the years. What I saw in clubs in São Paulo or even in different parts of the world when we were playing with our band, I also found everywhere else of being. Universities, spoken word pubs, game pubs, activism collectives, festivals, raves, parties, protests, everywhere of being. I've found the same similar things. So those are all scenes that we can get connected, that you can get connected. So it's not about the style. It can be rock, rap, alternative, all kinds of places, all kinds of things that connect people. And then I had the privilege to go to different places, different countries, different contexts, and connect with secular scenes to share the gospel. So this picture is in Houston, Texas, US. And this was a very, very interesting club. It was full of creative people. And I was there a few months ago with one of our teams in Houston. This was a night in Houston that is, everybody's partying. There are lots of parties happening. It's Cinco de Mayo. It's a festival. And if you look in the picture, you can see that there's a girl, she's dressed in red and she's kind of doing a performance. Can you see her there? So in a particular moment, this girl approached our group there. We were somewhere and she approached us. And she saw our group of people and she said, "These guys are interesting." And she told us, "You guys look cool. I want to get to know you more. So tell me, what do you like? What are you good at? I want to know more about you." And she started asking one by one. And then one of our friends who was there that night, his name is Roger. He's not very familiar with this type of scene and these clubs. And he told me later, I was afraid because I didn't know what to tell that girl. Everybody around is young and cool and artistic, and I'm not. So what would I tell her that would be interesting? So finally, when it was his turn, he just looked at her and said, "Well, I am good at being a father. I love my sons. I love to spend time with them. I think I'm good at being a father." And all the different interesting things that the girl heard before did not touch her the way that this touched her. So she got emotional and she stopped what she was doing and she gave Roger a strong hug. And she said, "We don't have many of those around. Thank you." And that's what opened the doors for the gospel. So then Allison, who is my wife, and he's the pretty girl here in this picture, the shorter one. She just started talking to this girl and telling her like maybe she did not experience a good earthly fatherhood, but that God is a good father that loves her and cares for how she feels. And she could pray for her, and it was very cool. This is another member of our team praying for DJ of the night. This is in Denver, here in the US as well. It was an open festival. Lots of different things were happening on the streets, food trucks, music, all types of young people walking around. And we went there with our team in Denver. And in this picture, you can see Dania and Natalie, part of our team in Denver. And they are praying for one of the guys we met that day. And this guy is a creative. He was making very cool drawings. And he was saying, "I want to share love through my art." And Dania and Natalie told him, like, if you want to share love, you gotta get to know the source of love. And they are still connected with this guy until today. Here's in Amsterdam, in the Netherlands. And I was also there with a team for a season. And we did all types of activities to connect with people. And in this area, in this picture, you can see like young professionals, they were always walking around. And it was impressive how open and hungry for the gospel they were. Still in Amsterdam, we did activities engaging with environmental protests. We came up with performances, and then we did bold proclamations saying that the world is polluted, but we can't solve it only with politics. We gotta get our hearts cleaned, and that Jesus is the one that can clean our hearts. And people were open for the gospel.
Thanks for watching this session from Steiger's Online Intensive Training. Want to watch more? Click here for the next video.